What's going on, guys? NealGuides here. Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to go over the 4-4-2 second variation post-pack tactics and instructions. I think now the biggest meta I would say is dribbling. I'll make a dribbling tutorial soon, but the most important thing is dribbling. You kind of want to snipe and edge on your players. Agility and balance is the utmost importance now. I'll definitely go with the dribbling style. A lot of players are now playing overload the ball side. I'm pretty sure you know teams are very much condensing the middle narrow corridor. They're overcommitting, so it's very hard to get past your opponent. So we've kind of deviated away from the get in behind type instructions. We're going to mainly go towards the dribbling, not possession, but more of like a steady flow attacking technique where you hold the ball and you try to make the maneuverable changes in the final third to get through. The most important things that we changed, as I said, instructions wise, is that we've drifted away from getting behind, because I said if your opponent's parking a bus, if they, just think about it, right? If your opponent's parking a bus playing low depth, 1 or 2 depth on drop back, you can't get past with getting behind. They're getting behind, where they're going to run. They're going to run nowhere. So there's no point using getting behind anymore. So we've gone towards that. We've kind of gone towards like a standing approach where they stay centralized. They occupy the space rather than trying to get in behind. And the wingers, the most important thing is kind of stay wide. Now you can use hug the sidelines, but I think a lot of you guys, although you like my 5-2-1-2, which is very good for basically beating overload the ball side, if you want a very orthodox formation, right, just a general formation that you can use the entire game, the 4-4-2 is the way forward to beat overload the ball side, especially with these players on stay wide, because don't forget, when opponents, when they park the bus, they centralize the middle of the pitch, and let's say they're playing a 4-2-3-1, this is kind of how the 4-2-3-1 lines up against your team. They're weak on a wing, and that's why I think with these players on stay wide, you're basically exploiting them. So I think this is kind of the way forward, in my opinion, with the 4-4-2. But without further ado, let's just get straight into the instructions. To the tactics, should I say, sorry. I kind of explained you the base core of this formation. Now, I've used this as well, tested this post-patch. I know you're looking at this team thinking it's a good team. Don't worry, I've tried it with a cheap 20k team as well. So do not worry about that. Now, a defensive style, we've gone with balanced. Kept it on balance. It's no point changing it, let's be completely honest. There's no need to change it anymore. Drop back is not really useful anymore, and I don't think going on pressure on heavy touch is even worth it anymore. I said this is a formation to use in all moments of the game. It's a bit more attacking than a 4-2-3-1, but I'll release the post-patch changes for that as well. The width, we've gone with 6 or 7, up to you. 6, the reason we've gone up with is now you can use overload the ball side. As I said, I'll make a video on this in the next couple of days on overload the ball side, how to use it effectively inside the game. But if you ever want to condense your team and be very narrow, you can use overload the ball side. So it's kind of pointless of having a narrow width anymore. So it's better to have, a wider width. I know people don't do this, but trust me, the logic is important. It's better to have a wider width, and then when you're struggling against, for example, the 4-1-2-1-2, a very narrow formation, then you can use overload the ball side, which will contract your team. So that way you can have a formation where it works against a 4-4-2, a fellow 4-4-2, a fellow 4-2-3-1, a 4-2-2-2, but it also works against a 4-2-3-1 narrow or 4-1-2-1-2 second variation. So that's the point. You kind of want the maneuverability to choose between them. The depth, we reduced it by 2. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why have we gone a bit more defensive? It's not that. It's mainly the aspect of psychologically slowing your gameplay down. As I said before, we wanted to get it behind. But I think when your players are too far up the pitch, when you do win the ball back, the problem is, this is a defensive depth, by the way. The problem is when you're too far back, I think that you're parking a bus and you're basically giving your opponent too much space. And I think with too much high depth, you're kind of leaving too much gaps in between. So I think 3, again, is the perfect balance. That way you're kind of clogging up your outside your box defensively, so you can win the ball back. And plus the transition to attack, your strikers are not going to be too far forward, because if your strikers are too far forward, because your opponent's parking a bus and they're going to transition from like an attacking width to like overload the ball side, it's hard to get past. So I've gone with 3. I'll probably push maximum towards 4. I wouldn't really go towards 4. I'll probably stay on 3. I used to play on 6. I think I've gone down to 3 now. That's how bad it's become. Now, offensive style, I wouldn't go towards long ball. Balance is the way. Keep things natural. Keep the runs natural. Let AI decide what to do. The only thing I would say is if you're a gold 1 player and above, I'd recommend using possession. Possession is really good because players come short, especially when your opponent's parking a bus. You kind of want your strikers to come short. So if you're like, let's say you have the ball with your cam or your centre mid, if you want your strikers to kind of come towards your cam, you need to use possession. I think that's the best thing to use. If not, if you're not above gold 1, just use balance, and you don't have to worry, because when you use possession, you have to trigger the players manually, but use balance if you're below gold 1. Width, we've increased the width a little bit, but it doesn't matter anyway, because the left mid and right mid are wide. The main thing about the width, which is important, we kind of want I suppose the central players to be a bit more connected. And a bit more distance apart, because if your opponent's using overload the ball side, you're going to be congested with your 2 strikers, so you don't want them to be any more narrower. So there's no point, kind of reducing this back to how we had it on 2 or 3. So I've kind of gone with 4. I think it's a good appropriate balance. Players in the box on 3, but again, that's not really that important, because the instructions, they override the tactics, which we'll get onto in a second. So this is kind of irrelevant. This is just mainly for the center mid position, so when you do get into crossing position, you can always pass to players outside the box. Corners and free kicks, it doesn't matter, as I said, to your own discretion. Obviously too high, you're going to be susceptible to the counter attack. The most important thing here is I've reduced my corners to 1 now. I pass my corners a lot. I don't even cross the ball anyway, but I think now passing the ball around the box is kind of the meta way of scoring. So I would recommend 2 or 1, I'll be honest. I think that's probably the newest way of scoring, rather than trying to cross the ball in. So going to the instructions, one question I get asked a lot is centre backs. Should I use sweeper, keeper and all this? I would say no. Even with ter Stegen, the best goalkeeper in the game, they make a lot of mistakes. Yes, they might save you a few times, but in the long run, you're going to concede more goals. So leave these on balance. Do not put this, because if you leave on sweeper keeper, the keeper's always going to try to be aggressive. So don't leave this on sweeper keeper. If your player plays a through ball in behind, a simple power shot past you will get through. So leave this on balanced. I would highly recommend it. Now the centre backs obviously on stay back, left back and right back go on and stay back while attacking, but you can of course you can overlap using the D-pad tactics. Fullbacks join attack or attacking fullbacks. If you haven't watched my 5-2-1-2 video where that abuses the wings, you can obviously see that on my channel. What we changed with the centre mids now, one of the centre mids is on cut passing lanes, balanced and cover centre, just like before, one to cover the middle of the pitch. You can put this on get forward if it's got a bad work rate, like something like a high low or like a low high. You can put someone on get forward here. If you're struggling with defensively, of course you can put it on stay back while attacking. The most important thing is the most defensive CDM is on drop between defenders, cover center. The most important thing here, defensive behavior. I used to have it on cut passing lanes. I think post-patch people are defending now a bit more rigidly, and I think a lot of people are dribbling more in attacking sense. So that's why I've kind of gone with balanced. Sometimes you want your player to mark the person who's making the run as well. And I don't gone with conservative. I don't want this player to be making aggressive change. I want these guys to be staying in position, not moving, being the brick wall in my defense. So that's why I've gone with conservative. Left mid and right mid come back in defense, obviously, so you defend in the 4-4-2. You basically defend in the 4-4-1-1. One of your strikers comes back, but we'll get into that in a second. The main thing is so you don't get doubled up as usual. You want to get doubled up down the wing, especially if your opponent's, breaking your wing play. Or if you want to overload the ball side, these guys will kind of contract in the middle, 2 banks of 4. The most important thing is stay wide. As I said, you want to be as wide as possible. You can use balanced and hug the sidelines, but I would recommend stay wide. You kind of want these guys to be wide as possible. Don't forget, if your opponent's, as I said, let's say that's his back 4, his 2 CDMs and his cam and his striker, you kind of want these players to be abusing the wide areas against someone who's overloading the ball side. So if you find your opponent's overloading the ball side, defending like no tomorrow, defending like it's the World Cup final, Champions League final, you can use stay wide. The most important thing is don't leave these on getting behind. Leave these on balanced. This way, if you're playing against someone who's playing a wide formation, they'll cut inside naturally when they need to. And then if you're playing against someone who's overloading the ball side and they want to go on outside, they can go outside when they want to. So they'll make forward runs or come short depending on the situation. The most important thing is get in the box. So as I said, if your opponent is using overload the ball side, you can abuse the wings, go down the wing, and then when you sweat the ball in, the other winger will come inside the box. So that's the most important thing. That's how I was going back to, I said, for example, players in the box doesn't matter because instructions override their tactics. That's the reason why. Obviously, stay wide is the most important thing here is the strikers. What we have changed is the 2 strikers. We have gone with one of them on stay central, come back on the fence. So this acts as like the 4-4-1-1. And this kind of the person that comes deep kind of helps the defensive ability, but also helps the play. So he kind of drops in just to behind, just to kind of, you can pass the ball to just, you can argue the left striker, left centre forward in some sense, you can say. And then he goes forward into a strike position. Stay central, as I said. I don't want to be getting in behind with this player as we did before, because you're just going to be running into the opponent's goalkeeper and you're going to be caught offside. So stay central, get the ball to his feet, let him run behind when he needs to. The other player, stay central, target man. As I said, target man, it's not like real life target man. It's not like kind of how Giroud plays. What this instruction is basically saying is the player will basically try to find space and then try to go in front of your opponent's defenders and back into him. So what this is basically doing is it's not asking your player to come short. It's just reposition the player into a position where they have space and they can pick the ball up on their feet. Whereas false 9, I think is pointless, because you see, before false 9 was viable, right? Because the players to come and drop deep, kind of play like a 4-2-3-1. But since now every single person, every single Tom, Dick and Harry is now parking a bus, or Jessica as well, is now parking a bus, it's no point doing it, because your opponent's cams and CDMs are so far back. That player is going to be on the false 9 in this position, is going to be marked anyway. So you might as well keep this person on, target man. So this way you can do like a 1-2. So if you get the ball with your other striker, you can do a 1-2 with Messi, etc., etc. So that's kind of what I've gone with. In terms of the players you can use, a cheaper option than Messi, I've tested with a 20k team, as I said. Someone like Ben Yedder is good here. Someone like Ben Yedder is a good example you can use in this position. Someone can dribble with the ball, strafe dribble, and can left stick dribble. Someone's very agile. That's the most important meta this year after the patch. The other striker, someone that's quick. Lucas Moura will be a good example from the Premier League. Try to get a decently paced striker, someone that can do a bit of everything. Ronaldo may be a good option. I mean, you can play someone like Mbappe or Nedved here. For the wingers, the most important thing is pace. That's the most important thing is for the wingers. Doesn't matter about the work rate. Pace is what you need, and then maybe stamina. Screen Bernard, someone like Dembele is an alright option, even though his stamina is not the best, but you can make do with someone like Dembele. Someone like Martial, someone like Neymar, Mbappe, Insigne, some of those players that work very well in this position. The CDMs, again, someone like Allen, a bit more attacking player here. Someone like Allen, even Kante can work pretty well in this instance. Someone like De Jong, and the more defensive side, someone like Kante, someone like Bamin on the cheaper side, Ndidi, etc., etc. The most important thing is left back, right back, centre backs, whatever, is not that important. The most important thing is fast wingers to beat overload the ball side that can dribble, because your opponent's parking a bus. You want players that can get the ball from a wide position and then move the ball inwards. So you don't want to have someone who's like very very like static with the ball. They don't really move too much. You want someone who's very agile, very nimble, that can move with the ball. So try to get someone with good agility and balance, left mid or right mid is what I would say. The two strikers, again, try to replicate the agility and balance. But worst case scenario, you get someone like Ronaldo here. I play Mane here on my cheaper team. I also play Lucas here. And I play Gelson Martins on your Kuru on the wings. Anyway, guys, that's the 4-4-2 second variation tactics post-patch. Thank you very much for watching. Tomorrow's video will be on Overload the Ball, so I want to start uploading daily now. Try to get as much content out for you guys, because I know that's what you guys want to see. But anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. Take it easy. Stay tuned for tomorrow's video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out, boys.